Life is full of work and stress. Parenting can be a mess. Being a woman is hard enough without adding on this extra stuff. We'll cover topics of every kind. Helpful resources we will find. We'll even drink a bottle of wine. Join us. It will be a real good time. Hi, I'm Amanda.
And I'm Nikki.
And welcome to Working Mom's Wine, where we drink a bottle of wine.
And whine about our stressful working mom lives. And then offer up some resources, hopefully, that will help your lives as well as ours.
We are doing back-to-back episodes. You won't see them back-to-back, but we're recording them back-to-back. So,
Holidays.
Yes. Yeah. I'm not wearing the dirty thing I wore last time. It's still the first night I wore it. And we are drinking the same wines. So, I have the Apothic White Winemaker's Blend. And what are you drinking?
I am drinking the 19 Crimes Cali Red Snoop Dogg wine. And it's delicious. It's very smooth. I'm quite enjoying it.
Yeah, that's a good one. So we're going to drink these again. If you're wondering about the description, check the previous episode. They will be on there.
Mm-hmm.
And today we are going to whine about parenting horror stories. This is going to be everything from what children say to bodily fluids. So if you have a weak constitution, after Nikki's opening story, you might just want to not listen this week because pretty much all of mine revolve around bodily fluids. So I think since yours happened today and it's fresh in your mind, maybe we should go over that one first.
All right. So let's set the scene. I have a 6-year-old. This is her first year at school. She's in kindergarten. And we got an invitation sent home last night in her backpack from the teacher to attend the wedding of Q and U, the letters.
So cute.
And it's, an adorable thing they're doing to teach kids that Q and U usually, come together in words when they're reading. So they're having a wedding ceremony so that they will never
Sesame
part.
Street.
Yes, it was very cute. And the invitation said, feel free to dress up. You don't have to, but feel free to. So, of course, Ari wanted to dress up. And she has this beautiful, white, flowy, all white dress that she got at Target not too long ago. And she hasn't had a lot of opportunities to wear it. So she wanted to wear it. So I said, okay, you can wear it if you put leggings under it. One of those kind of dress sweater things over it. And we're going to put your shirt in your backpack. So right after the wedding, because that's the first thing they're going to do in the classroom in the morning, you can go change out of your dress and put on your shirt so that you're not in a white dress for recess, lunch, all those things. I made 2 mistakes. The first was assuming that she could handle that. And the second was not telling the teacher about my little plan so that she could make sure it happened.
I won't lie, the minute that you were telling me this story and you told her you gave her stuff to change, I was like, not gonna happen.
Yep. So the full day passes, and I go to pick her up from school. And I pull up in the parent pickup line, and I park my little car, and out she comes running in her dress. And I was like, okay. Guess she decided to wear it. Not super happy about it, but also not the end of the world. It's just clothing, I can be very particular about those things, so I try to let go of it a little more with her because she's a kid. It's not the end of the world if she ruins this $20 dress I spent money on at Target. So she gets in the car and I start our usual thing. I ask her, how was your day? And I say, what was the best part of your day? Did anything icky happen today? How was lunch? How was snack? And that's usually how I get the bulk of my information about her day from highlighting those particular questions. So she gets in the car and I say, you're still in your dress. What happened? She says, Well, we did the wedding thing, and right after that was over, um, we went to Rock and Jump, which is a trampoline park. And I said, "Excuse me?" Because I have not signed any permission slips. I didn't know anyone was going anywhere. I did not give any consent, nothing. She's like, "Oh, yeah. So people who did the fundraising won a trip to the Rock and Jump in a party bus." And I do remember seeing that. Like, we did a pizza selling fundraiser, and the top prize was if you sold so many pizzas, you got a spot on the party bus to Rock and Jump. The PTO plans it out, they pick the date and everything. But she didn't sell enough pizzas, so I didn't worry about it any further. And she said they called out all of the kids to get on the bus or to stand in front of the bus who did the fundraising. And then they told them that each of them could pick a friend to bring. And Jackson picked me. And that makes sense because Jackson is her, as she calls him, crush at school. And she says, "I'm his crush and he's my crush." And it's this cute little kindergarten thing. And I thought, well, that makes sense, that they would pick each other. So I was like, "Oh, okay, well, that's really cool." And I'm trying to get more information from her while my brain is exploding because I'm pissed. I'm like, what school, what elementary school in their right mind, I'm, cursing in my brain, sends a kid out without any kind of permission slip? How do they get into a Rock and Jump without a permission slip? Like, you can't even go play there for an hour without
Right.
signing your life away. How did they do that
Exactly.
without me consenting? And then I started thinking, maybe there's some form I signed at the beginning of the fundraiser that I forgot about or don't remember signing or didn't know I was signing that said that was okay because she's participating, that I agree for her to be able to participate in the grand prize or whatever. So I'm getting angry and worked up, but I'm trying not to show it because it's not her fault if the school let her go and didn't tell me, right? So I'm like, "Oh, that sounds really fun. What did you do while you were there?" "Oh, I jumped on the trampoline." I said, "So you went in your dress? Like, you didn't change?" And she said, "There wasn't a chance. I hadn't gotten back to my backpack yet." And I was like, "Okay." And it didn't click in my brain that she should have never left the classroom before then. So she should have been with her backpack the whole time. She made it sound like they were out at recess, but our plan was for her to change before recess. None of that occurred to me because I was too angry already. So she's spinning this elaborate web. This is what the party bus looked like. This is what the chairs were like. This is the color of the lights that were flashing in the party bus. And it was cool because it was my favorite color and Jackson's favorite color that flashed at the same time. So many details, guys. So many details. And I'm like, "Okay, cool. Well, I'm glad you got to have fun." And then I asked her, "What'd you do in music class today?" Because that was their special today. "Oh, well, that's the class I missed to go to Rock and Jump." I get home and I immediately start messaging my family, video messaging them. "Is this normal?" I asked Amanda, "Is this normal? Has your kid's school ever sent them on some sort of reward and not told you, like ever let them leave the building without telling you?" "No." "I'd be mad." "Okay." "Grandma." "No." "I'd be livid. I'd be calling up the principal right now and demanding to know answers." "Well, it's Friday afternoon." Yeah, they're not there anymore. And I'm not a confrontational person ever. If you have been in a confrontation with me, you know that I have been pushed to the edge, over it 5 times, and climbed up a hill before I decided to say jack to you about anything. So I'm like, I'm reeling. What do I do? What do I do? I can't say nothing. I can't say nothing. So I start writing up this email because I think, okay, writing out is the best way that I have found to deal with any kind of confrontation because I can get my thoughts out and I can write and rewrite until I'm happy with it and send it off. In the moment, I am absolutely terrible at really thinking through and expressing how I really feel about something. And I usually wind up just being plowed over because in the moment, I'm not good at it. I'm just not. I kind of shut down. I'm one of those freeze people, So I've written up this email. I've got the principal and the teacher's address in there. I've rewritten it like 5 times. And then my mom tells me this story over video message about a time that she actually had to confront one of your teachers about something. But she said at one point she went right to the principal and the teacher got mad that she didn't come to her, although I think she had already come to her directly on the issue. And that dinged something in my head like, we have this app where we can message the teacher like I am her or whatever. And I haven't asked a question about this. So I'm going to go in there assuming positive intent, assuming that it's probably something I forgot I signed, and come at it in that direction as opposed to accusing the school. And I'm so glad I did, because y'all, I sent the message to the teacher. I said,
Plot twist.
yeah, plot twist. Is it my mom brain that forgot that I signed some sort of permission slip for this? Just want to know what's up. Thanks. And she said, that was a prize for the fundraiser, the trip to the Rock and Jump. Ari did not go. She did not leave school grounds today and never would without parental consent. And I said, that's what I thought, but she's telling me she went. And the teacher says, no, she did not attend that today. She was at school the entire day. So glad I didn't send that email to the principal. So I call Ari over and I said, Ari, this is your final chance to tell me the truth about what happened today. And she fessed up immediately, like it was no big deal. Yeah, I made it up because I didn't know how to tell you what I did at recess. Excuse me?
I mean, seems legit.
My God. Oh my God. So, of course, we had very long talks about lying. What is lying? Why was this a big, very unsafe lie? Why was this a much bigger deal than a little lie? What the difference is and why we should never do either of them. How we've now broken trust and we'll have to rebuild it and reprove ourselves by being honest. How it was good that she told me the truth when given the chance at the end, but all the disastrous things that could have happened. Should I have thought that she had left the campus without my permission, and why that's dangerous. And of course she was very tearful and remorseful, and I'm sorry, and she went to her room and had a little time out, and I called her dad and said, all right, so this is what actually happened, because I'd called him earlier to make sure that the school hadn't called him or emailed him to ask permission in any way.
I hadn't thought about that.
Yeah, because we're separate households. I thought, what if they called me and I didn't answer and they called him or something? Usually, like, I'm the first contact and they usually call the mom first, but you never know. So I made sure, I said, before I yell at the principal, I'd like to know that they didn't call you and you just forgot to tell me, because that is highly possible that would happen. So, yeah, I was flabbergasted. I mean, I know she's told me little lies before that I've busted her on, but this was big. Yeah. This was big, dangerous, and elaborate. Elaborate AF. Like, so detailed. I was like, oh my God. So then she wound up telling me that she was upset she didn't get to go to Rock and Jump because she saw the other kids leave. And she didn't understand that it was she didn't understand right away that it was a reward for the fundraiser, because she participated in the fundraiser. She's like, why don't I get to go? Yeah. And she didn't understand it was for, like, you had to sell so many pizzas first or whatever. Yeah. And she was very tearful about that and upset about that. So
that is a hard one.
Yeah. I said to the teacher, oh my God, she just fessed up. Sorry. Thanks so much for the info. Like,
my kids have
walk of shame.
Fundraiser. My kids have a fundraiser that has that as a prize also, but they never sell enough items. And I'm always like, okay, we'll just collect orders, and if you get to that number, we'll put them all on one person's account, because if you get to go, you get to bring your sibling with you, and so it wouldn't matter whose account we put it on. But they can never get up there because it's really not that good of a fundraiser. Like, some of them are good. The food ones are usually pretty good. This one has, like, a catalog of items and then some overpriced food that's, like, not that great. Yeah. And they always want the party bus, and I'm just like, I know this is not going to work out.
Yep. They do. They make it hard to get, obviously. I mean, it's not cheap for them to do that, but
right.
Yeah. I was flabbergasted. Ari's a pretty good kid. I mean, we've had the usual stuff, like learning how to deal with tantrums, and she struggles a lot with getting hangry. Like, the second she's tearful about anything, you know that she hasn't eaten recently. So, we've gotten very good at recognizing trying to identify what that feels like physically in our bodies so we can learn the warning signs of when we need to eat or when we need to take a break or whatever.
Yeah.
And she got really good at that after she hit a kid in the face with her iPad. But, you know,
Oh my gosh.
she did biting when she was really little. She did the typical things. But never in my life did I imagine my 6-year-old would invent an entire trip to a trampoline park that I would wholeheartedly buy into. I mean, I believed it.
There was no
That's
skepticism.
the problem.
Oh my gosh.
So yeah, that's my lies story. And that happened today,
Well,
so I'm still like coming
at
down
least
from
you
the
have
anger
at
and
least you have your
embarrassment. What?
At least you have your wine.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. Well, this is
Yeah.
going to be my final warning for anyone who doesn't want to hear about puking and pooping in detail.
Jack's asleep, right? Because if he even hears us talk about it, he might puke.
Oh, I know. He's moving around in his bed, but he's in his bed.
I have a
Oh,
super
man.
sensitive gag reflex, but I have never in my life met
Same.
a person like Jack who just the second he hears about it or sees anything related to it, boom, fountains.
He can't handle it. I wonder if I should tell the work dinner story too.
I don't know if I remember that one.
That's the one
It's
where
not
I was
coming to
walking
me at
out
the top of my
door.
head, but what?
I'll tell it. I'll tell it in a minute. We'll do the potty training one first.
Okay.
Okay. So Jack is our last kid, and we're going through the potty training phase. And it seems that every time I get one child out of diapers, I find out I'm pregnant with the next one. The exception would be, I know, Lucas and Eliana were different. Lucas was only 8 months old when I found out that I was pregnant with Eliana. But every other child, it's like we would start to finish the potty training phase, and then, you get to do it again.
And every time she would tell me, and I'd say, no, you're not.
Yeah.
You're not starting over.
Yeah. So with Jack, we put it off a bit too long. He was close to 3.5 by the time we started. And don't wait that long, because then they're old enough to sass you. And they know, like, they understand what you want them to do. And they're just going to be sassy about it and just decide that they're fine until they're 25 in diapers. Like, they don't care at that point. They just don't want to do it. So he's already resistant to the idea. Potty training with the other kids was a breeze once you figured out what motivated them. Some kids like peeing into cereal in the toilet. Some kids like getting money, stickers. We did finally find a Daniel Tiger potty book that seems to be motivating him pretty well. But he was hesitant to begin with. And then we had a traumatic event. So we're doing this modified potty training. There's one potty training where, like, you just keep the kids naked and you lay a bunch of towels down and they stay naked for 3 days and they don't get to put clothes back on until they start just going to the potty. Some people will just straight up do that day and night. Some people do a version where at night you still wear diapers because they don't want to clean up the mess in the middle of the night. But I didn't want to do the whole, you can go to the bathroom on my carpets thing. So if I was home, I would keep him naked. And then if he had something to drink, he would sit on the potty until he went. And then eventually, you have an accident here and there, but then he learns what it feels like when he's getting ready to go, and then he sits on the potty.
Right.
So, one night, I'm home, Brandon's at work, and this is totally fair to Brandon because the other horror story takes place when I'm at work and he's home. But Silas is on the couch, And he'd been not feeling that great. So he's laying on the couch. He's got a fever. He's just chilling, watching TV. Jack has his own special race car potty in the living room that I have him sit on. So bedtime's coming up, and I have Jack sitting on there until bedtime, hoping that he's going to go to the bathroom. Eventually, he calls me over, telling me that he did it. He went potty, and I'm like, okay, cool. So I obviously have them like stand up. I look in the potty to make sure, because sometimes they'll say that they pottied and they haven't yet.
Yeah.
So I try to get him to stand up, and he just keeps pointing between his legs while he's sitting down. And I should have taken that as a sign, but I was just like, come on, man, come on, get up, get up. So finally he stands up, and there is a big poop, like a big one. And I know this is like a little toddler potty and not pooping in the big potty, but it was easily covering like half to 3/4 of what was available in the potty area. And then he turns around and takes a look. Yes, that's where it all goes to shit.
Quite literally.
Yes. As you have mentioned before, Jack has a weak stomach and a big gag reflex.
Sorry, Jack.
He's always the kid that gets like a little too much mucus going on when he's got a cold, and then he throws up for no good reason.
Mm-hmm.
He likes to cry until he pukes. So, of course, he takes a look at his own stuff and starts gagging. So, do I grab him and run into the bathroom? No. I just stand there and I keep saying, don't throw up. Don't throw up. Don't throw up. But he did. 3 times in 3 separate spots in the living room. And
which is carpeted, by the way.
Yes, it's all carpet. Before he went to the bathroom, I had given him Reese's peanut butter cups and a big glass of chocolate milk. So it's brown all over my cream carpet.
Yeah. Cream off-white colored carpet.
And at the time, we thought we were going to be moving soon. That's kind of fallen through. But like, all I can think about is there's these 3 huge spots of brown puke, and I'm supposed to be showing the house any month now, right?
Yeah.
So I grab his potty. I left him there. And I grab his potty and I take it to the bathroom so that I can dispose of the evidence. And he's just standing there, covered in his own puke, in the middle of my puke-covered living room, standing there crying while I get rid of everything.
Yeah, because you want to get rid of the source that made him start to begin with.
Yeah. So I lift the lid of the toilet, and someone else had clogged it and not told me. And I have an idea who. There's one kid that likes to go number 2 and not flush properly. And then you go in there hours later and figure it out. So I'm already trying to get rid of this. And now I have to unclog a toilet. I have to unclog a toilet and then redo all of this. So I unclog the toilet, I flush everything, I go grab my screaming, vomit-covered toddler and put him in the tub. And then I see Silas on the couch. Silas also does not like poop and puke and seeing other people puke. So we have had multiple instances of Jack needing to throw up, or someone else, and then Silas booking it. And usually we're lucky enough that it's in the house and he just runs to a different room and hides. One time we were in a public restaurant and Jack threw up at a table, and I was up on the 2nd level of that restaurant in a bathroom with Eliana, and I come out and there's this stranger with Silas, and she's just like, "Are you his mom? He's been running around looking for his mom." And I'm like, well, 1, where's my husband? And 2, thank you. Turns out that like Jack had thrown up, Brandon was trying to deal with it. Like, these are all things I find out later. But basically, anytime someone is going to throw up, Silas runs. So he is no longer like laying on the couch. He is on the top edge of a corner of the couch. And he's sitting there freaking out, crying. And I'm like, Silas, just leave the room. Just go somewhere else. Just leave the room. And all he can do is cry and tell me that he can't. I can't leave it. I'm like, oh my gosh, you can, and you will.
Go downstairs.
Right. So I convince him to go to his bed. Jack gets a bath, and he was not happy about that either. But I
Yeah.
finally get him in the tub. I get everything cleaned up, including a couple of toys that got sprayed. I go to light my candles because I need to light candles and get rid of the smell. And I find out that one of them is shattered around the top. And I'm like, screw it. I don't care. I stick it in a bowl. I light it anyway. I'm like, if glass falls in, it'll fall into the bowl and we can throw the whole thing away. Whatever. So yeah, all's well that ends well. We do have a uncle that has a carpet cleaning business, and he always recommends Dawn soap and warm water, and I used it and it worked.
Yeah.
To get the stains out. So that's potty horror story number 1.
Cheers. I'll drink to that.
So of course it's been really hard to potty train him since then, but
yeah,
he's now getting into it. He only wears diapers when he's sleeping for good reason. There was one night where we forgot that, and he woke up completely covered. Like, he's unconscious. He can't help it.
Yeah.
He's too young. Which is why I don't like the whole having them. They say that they get used to it, that they like start to feel it, and then subconsciously they'll wake up. I can't do it.
Fun fact, the part of your brain that tells you need to go to the bathroom at night doesn't develop in some kids until they're 10 years old.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I read during potty training for Ari. So if you have an older child that still needs to wear pull-ups and things at night, they're 8 years old, 9 years old, 10 years old, that is normal. Yeah. Who knew? And I think it's especially true, if I remember right, for boys. I had Ari wear pull-ups for a very long time after she was already potty trained. And even though she was dry almost every night, I still made her wear them because I, one, didn't have the space to deal with that. Two, knew about that part of the brain that doesn't always develop until you're a little older in some kids. So I was just like, why set up for a disaster? And I, at the time, or like right before, I don't think he was still here, I was dating a guy who had an older kid who still struggled with that from time to time. Or he told me that he didn't ever have that issue when he was with us, but but that he had around that age, like 8, I think, or something like that. So and I was like looking into it. I'm like, yeah, apparently there's like a part of your brain that has to develop to signal you when you're sleeping to wake up that you need to go to the bathroom, and that part doesn't always develop until you're like 8 to 10. So yeah, fun fact. So if you had struggles with it when you were a kid, genetically, your kid might have that issue too.
I'm just glad he's finally going.
Potty training is the worst. It is a huge struggle.
And for a long time after that incident, he would cry. Like when he knew he was going to go, he would start to cry and freak out.
Yeah.
And now he's over it. Thank God.
I had to bribe my kid with Barbies and figurines. We collect all those little Disney figurines from each movie that you can like play with or whatever. And she had a few sets already. And then the Shop Disney site had like some huge clearance one time. Nice. And a bunch of the action figure sets and some of the like individual, more plain kind of versions of their Barbies were on clearance. And I bought a ton of them. I mean, like I filled a suitcase in my closet full of that stuff. And I thought I'll just kind of parse them out over the next few birthdays and Christmases. But then the potty training started, and she is very motivated by goals to toys. So we had a little chart. She'd put a sticker, and every time you got so many stickers, you got a toy. And then, especially for going number 2, we had to make that a bigger goal and say like, oh, if you go number 2 in the potty this many times, then you get a whole Barbie.
Yeah.
I can't remember how old she was when we potty trained. I have no recollection of how old she was, but we were in pull-ups for a very long time. I think I was hoping between Mom's house and my house, I was very on top of having the cool potties. I have the special toilet seat where you can fold down the little miniature toilet seat in between so they can sit on the big potty.
That's such a good idea too.
I had that, and then I had one of the little like separate potties like you have, that's like Disney themed and made a noise she liked and that kind of stuff. And we did all the things, sit in front of the TV, sit in front of a book, and she didn't mind sitting on the potty. It just took her a long time to actually go in it.
Yeah. I think that's pretty standard too.
Yeah. She was pretty prize motivated and that sort of thing. And I was hoping that she would catch on really quick because while she is an only child, she was in quote unquote daycare at grandma's house with cousins. And, they say when you see the older kids go and you have siblings, like it happens faster. And I thought, oh, maybe it'll happen. No, it didn't happen faster. I think that's a lie.
Jack. Yeah, I agree.
It's a lie they tell us to give us hope. Ari,
no, but yes.
Yes. Ari has a co-parenting schedule. She goes to her dad's on certain nights of the week. Well, a certain night of the week, and then like every other weekend. And we have our pickup schedule. When she was potty training, it was always very much, I'd send a text, I'm almost there, make her go potty and put on her shoes. And then I'd text, I'm here. So because he brings her out. He lives in this complex where he has to walk like down a sidewalk and up a set of stairs to get to the parking lot. And he is kind enough to bring her to my car when I come to pick her up. And if I drop her off, which is really just on the Friday nights that she spends at his house, I walk her all the way up to his front door. Mm-hmm. So I usually would give him a text like, oh, please make sure she went to the bathroom and has her shoes on because it takes her forever to do those things.
Oh, yeah.
And I had gotten out of the habit of warning him that I was on my way. And I came to pick her up one night, and I guess, I don't know if he didn't make her or she said she didn't have to go and he just believed her or what, but she got in the car without going to the bathroom. And it's a 40-minute drive between our places. It can be 20 minutes if you go specific ways and speed a little bit, but I don't do that. I go a little bit of a back way because my car is old and doesn't accelerate very quickly. I don't like getting on the interstate in certain spaces because I know the lane is shorter and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. So it takes me 40 minutes. So I pick her up. She gets all buckled in, says goodbye to him. We take off. We get just to this part of the interstate where we're between exits. There's nothing to pull over, no gas stations or restaurants or all that stuff. And it's a very short space, but it's a space where there's nothing for a good 5 minutes, 10 minutes maybe. And of course, the second we pass that last exit, Mommy, I have to go potty. And she's potty training. So I panic. Oh God, she has to pee and she can't hold it very long and there's no exit in sight. So I'm speeding, which I never, ever do. I'm speeding. I'm like, oh God, I'm going to get caught. This one time I try to speed and she's going to pee herself while I'm getting arrested or something. Like, I don't know.
I'm sorry, officer. My kid needs to pee.
Oh, I'm driving. We make it to the next exit. I get off. There's a gas station right there. I am parking the car. And she pees herself. And she's upset. And I feel bad. And then I'm pretty sure I laid into my co-parent via text. Why did he make her go by? I had to pull over and she still didn't make it. And now the car's soaked in pee. And I had to wash the car seat cover. And you guys know what an epic ordeal that can be. I was so mad. But I was also a very prepared mommy and had a full extra set of clothes in her bag and baby wipes. So we went inside to the bathroom and wiped down and changed our clothes. And then we went back out to the car and I put an extra trash bag I had over the car seat so she didn't have to sit in it wet. And we were fine. It was fine. It's definitely not the worst situation to have to deal with, or that any parent has ever had to deal with via car and car seats and bodily fluids. So
I've had at least 2 kids
in
pee in their
perspective,
car
yeah.
seat.
Right. In perspective, not that bad, but
Well, every year, the people above us are always very generous and buy all the managers. We're called team leads, to put it into perspective. They buy all of the team leads a dinner at a nice restaurant. So it always happens around Thanksgiving. It's kind of like, Thanksgiving, we're being thankful for you. This might be, no, I think Brandon got to go last year. Yeah.
So cute.
Yeah, and they wrote like nice little notes for each of us too, like about how much they appreciated us. So we got to go to this really nice restaurant. And initially, Brandon was supposed to go with me, but we had some scheduling issues with the end of the month and everything. And so I ended up going by myself. And I talked to the neighbor ahead of time, and I'm like, hey, are you willing to come over to my house at a certain point and put all the kids to bed so I can go to this dinner? And she's like, yes. So I said, how do you want me to do things at the beginning? Are you just all coming over? Do you want me to bring Jack over to you? What do you want to have? And so she goes, bring him over. We'll have dinner and then we'll go back to your house. I'm like, okay. So I get Jack all ready and I put on my Dreaming of a Wine Christmas shirt with some black leggings because this place is kind of nice. And I get myself all ready and I get Jack all ready to go. Like, I even have my coat on. Like, we are going to quite literally walk out the door as soon as the dog comes in from outside. So it's a rainy night outside. The dog accidentally missed a grooming appointment in the past, so he's got more scraggly hair than he should have. And he pooped, and some of it got stuck on his butt. And so he comes back into the house, and I don't notice right away. And Jack tells me Oliver's got poop on his butt.
And I'm like, but Jack does.
Yeah. First of all, I was shocked because I'm like, so he noticed this and he's not throwing up? Like, what's going on here? I spoke too soon. So Jack is obsessed with oranges. He eats mandarin oranges like as much as you will let him all day long. So I'm like, okay, buddy, thank you. Thanks for telling me that. I go to get some paper towels and things so I can clean up Oliver real quick before we leave. And that's when he does this thing. And then he'll stomp his feet. And he's going to throw up. And I'm just like, oh God. So I actually pick him up this time. And I go to carry him to the kitchen sink. And I get into the kitchen. I know. I get into the kitchen, which thankfully does not have carpet. But then he all over the kitchen. Quite literally, like the fridge is on one side and the dishwasher's on the other and the oven's right there. It covered all of it. And the chunks of oranges are so big that I'm like, did you even chew these? Like, I don't understand. How did your stomach not digest any of this yet?
This has been 0% digested.
Yeah. So I messaged my neighbor to let her know what was going on. And I'm like, we're going to be late. I got to clean this up now. So Brandon's at work. I'm cleaning this up. It was not great. He was struggling with a cold already. So I'm sorry. It's very slimy. It was very hard to clean up. I used a mixture of paper towels and baby wipes. I had my boots on, because I'm ready to walk out the door. I almost slip and fall at one point. Like, that's how slippery the floor got. Yeah. So I get Oliver cleaned up. I get the kitchen cleaned up. I have already moved Jack to the bathroom. I'm like, just stand there. I'll come clean you up as soon as I can. So I got all of that cleaned up, and then I go into the bathroom, and I wipe out his mouth, and I change his shirt. I keep his pants on him because it looks like that survived. Definitely got a little bit on his shoes, so I take a baby wipe to it and hope for the best. And then I go next door and I'm like, okay, I'm really sorry if he smells. I cleaned everything I could. I have to go. I'm gonna be late to this thing.
Yeah.
She was very nice about it. They're very chill next door. So great. I am at the dinner and
No.
well, it's not that bad, but
Okay.
basically Brandon was supposed to work like all night and then I was going to be the first one home. And at one point he just went home and I get a text from him and he's like, "Why does the house smell like puke?" So it reeked because I didn't light any candles before I left
Because
or
of your
whatever.
children, sir.
I know. And I kind of clued him into what happened because I was complaining about it on the way out. But I just felt really bad because the neighbor brought the kids back home and they were all hanging out in this house that smells like absolute vomit. Like when I walked back in, he had lit a couple of candles and it still reeked. And I was like, I don't know what else to tell you. But it was like I literally was going to walk out the door and he had to do that.
Timing.
I know. Timing
is a bitch.
Oh my gosh. I really hope that like he outgrows this. Otherwise he's going to have a very miserable childhood.
Yeah.
Like you can't throw up at everything. I mean, you can, but it's not going to be fun. If you're watching on YouTube, I think you should share your favorite parenting horror story in the comments, and then we can all have a good laugh.
Agreed. Camaraderie.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So we've been telling our stories about our kids, bodily fluids. Might I add, we're being constantly interrupted and having to pause because my dogs are having tummy issues, which they always do.
Yeah. We're going to whine about pets next time.
Yes. So, my apologies if it seems broken up. More horror stories about kids and their bodily fluids. So there was this time that Ari and I got COVID, and it was really fun. We were very extremely fortunate in that it wasn't a serious illness that caused things like hospitalization, but we were home for several days, not really able to get out of bed much, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I got it first. So I had a really rough night where it's one of those nights where you go into the bathroom and you're not sure if you should sit in front of the toilet or on it, if you catch my drift. So you've got like a bucket and you're like, I don't know which, so you're debating, right? So there was really
like I
life.
sit on it and I face my shower.
See, I thought about that. My shower is right next to me, but it was just a little too far. But I do have one of those trash cans that has the removable bucket, and that's what I used. I just pulled the trash bag out and held the bucket, but the bucket also has certain smells. So
yes,
I had to like hold it under my nose, but over my mouth. It was the most ridiculous thing. So I got through the night of me struggling with those fluids. I guess it was really 2 nights, but mostly one. So we get through it. I've had the fever. I've tested positive, all of that. Ari's been fine, but at this point, we were at an age where she was still sleeping with me most nights. There was a very long period of time where we co-slept, and it started out of necessity and then kind of became habit. And I was just okay with it. She's very young. She hadn't even started school yet, and I thought to myself, it's frustrating and annoying at times, but also she won't want to cuddle with me forever. She's young. I don't have a partner to like have to share the bed between 3 people. Like that's not a struggle we have to deal with. So why not? And when she's ready, she's ready.
Yeah.
Which is another good story. But anyway, because she had slept in my bed before, the night I started feeling icky, I put her in her own bed and said, "This is for your own safety." But she still caught it because we're in such close proximity. So the night she started feeling bad, we got very fortunate in that she realized she was feeling icky and she went into her bathroom. There's a bathroom in the hallway that's like hers. And she went in there. And so when she threw up, it wasn't into the toilet, but it was on the tile and partially into the toilet. So I was like, wow, this is the first time she's ever like puked and been old enough to be like walking and standing and cognizant of what's happening. So I was pretty impressed. And I cleaned up what I could, and she was very upset and crying. She didn't understand what was happening. She'd never thrown up in her memory before. She was like 5. So we've been very fortunate in that, she's had illnesses where she had fevers and earaches and things like that, but never the vomiting stuff.
Yeah.
Which makes sense because I remember vomiting maybe twice in my young life and then not again until I was in my 30s. So
right.
I think she probably shares my genetics in that. We get very intense stomach aches and things like that, but usually doesn't come with puking. So because I knew what I had gone through the night before, I sat down with her and had a little chat. And I said, "This is what happened to me. You probably have the same sickness. It's going to be hard to know when you have to go and which end it's going to come out." I said, "And it's not your fault. It's not something to get upset about or feel bad about. We just do the best we can." So I introduced her to the big plastic bowl. If you wake up and you feel that feeling again, lean over the bowl. And we did. This is my life hack. I still had pull-ups from when she was potty training. And she's a beanpole kind of kid. So even though she's gotten very tall, she hasn't gotten wider around the waist. So they still fit. And so we wore pull-ups, and I changed, I changed the pull-ups probably a good 6 times that night.
Yeah.
Just because you can't tell, and when you sit up and you start to puke, and then, it catches everything, and that it saved our life. I'm pretty damn sure.
I need to keep Depends around the house for when I get the stomach flu, is what you're saying.
Yes, keep Depends and keep pull-ups for any size your children are. And then when you don't need them, when they outgrow them, you can just give them away on the buy, sell, trade, nothing groups on Facebook. Some mom needs them somewhere.
True.
So I still have some pull-ups in the closet in case she gets that sick again. But that was our lifesaver. And we made it through. And now anytime her stomach hurts, she'll say, "I'm having a tummy ache, but not like that time that I had to throw up." Okay, good. She remembers the difference.
Oh my gosh. We have recently dealt with stomach issues, and I gave Jack that whole speech of, "Okay, man, if your stomach starts to feel weird, we're going to go into the bathroom and we're going to stand by the big potty and get all of it in the big potty. And if you do, I'll bribe you." And he talks like he understands it, but I'm like, man, the minute it happens, it's not going to go that way.
Yeah, they never recognize it in enough time, like the warning signs.
Mm-hmm.
I think I was very fortunate in that Ari was already I'm pretty sure she was 5 when it happened, and she was a lot more in tune with herself at that point.
That kind of leads into my next story. I think it might have happened last year. So Lucas was decently old enough. But when things happen in the middle of the night, sometimes your body wakes you up and you just don't have enough time. So he wakes up, and I've had Brandon's perspective on this story for a long time. And I just happened to hear Eliana's opinion on it the other night. I don't remember how it came up. I know. But she was in the room when he woke up because she used to sleep with Silas and Lucas, and then Jack would be in his own room.
That's right.
So apparently Lucas wakes up and says, "Oh no." Gets out of bed, gets to the doorway.
That's not ever what you want to hear in the middle of the night.
I know. I know. Well, and what I've started doing while we're sharing life hacks, if anyone gets a stomach virus, I lay a trail of towels from any bedroom doorways all through our hallway up to like the bathroom, inside of the living room. Like I cover any carpeted area in towels so that I can just pick it up if I need to. But he goes, oh no, runs to the threshold of the door, and that's about as far as he gets before getting sick on the carpet. And as we have mentioned in previous stories, Silas does not deal with this stuff well, so he gets up and goes to check. Yeah, he goes to check on things.
I can tell where this is going.
He steps in it. So, should we also mention that Brandon is not great with bodily fluids? He will not. He'll deal with it, but the whole time he looks like this. So he'll have everything covering his mouth and his nose, and you can hear him like dry heaving while he's trying to deal with it. Like, whoa, whoa. So
God bless him for still doing it.
I know. I'm at work and I can't come in and help like I usually do. I have no idea this is even going on yet. So Lucas has thrown up. Silas has stepped in it. Silas is now in the bathroom throwing up in the toilet because he stepped in puke and it grosses him out. And the way Eliana put it, Silas and Brandon are taking turns throwing up into the toilet.
God.
I guess too, like Lucas had made it. Because he, had to throw up multiple times. At one point, he had gotten to the bathroom, but then like some of it got in the toilet, some of it got on the toilet. So like everyone's throwing up, except for Eliana. She told me that she was laying in bed and she was under her pillow, under her covers, just trying to block it all out. She goes, and usually I don't yell at people who are not feeling good. I don't want to yell at people who are throwing up. But at one point I was like, can you all just stop throwing up? She's like, I was just laying there in bed, so scared.
Oh, this poor kid.
I know. So they're all three taking turns throwing up. And Brandon's
How
trying
did
to
she
get
wind
everything
up with the
cleaned
good
up.
gag reflex or whatever?
I know. She was bragging to me the other day, too, about her good immune system. I'm like, you better stop that. Pride cometh before a fall, woman. But, so, yeah, at one point, I remember he had texted me and told me what had happened. And I was like, oh, do I need to leave work right now? And he was like, no, like, we've already dealt with it. And I'm just like, I found it so funny. I told everybody at work that night.
Heck yeah. You're like, you're never going to guess what I'm not dealing with tonight.
Exactly.
It's so rare that
gosh.
it's not you that has to deal with it. Like,
yeah.
No offense,
yeah.
Brandon. Definitely pitch in every single time you're needed.
Yeah.
But typically that stuff happens when mom is home. I don't know what it is. It's like a curse.
Yeah. Like
Ari has never gotten sick at dance. She always gets sick when she's at my house.
Yeah.
So, that's just how it is.
Yeah, it is too. Like,
usually.
A lot of my other stories, Brandon is at work when they happen, and I'm the one complaining to him. So when he told me, I was like, oh man, I feel bad, but also this is hilarious.
It's so strange because you guys both have always worked full time. It's not like one works more than the other and one is home more than the other. It's just how the cookie crumbles.
Yeah,
it's
and what's
like
really
some
funny,
sick joke.
Yeah, they're in our early career. He was the one who was home at night more. But yeah, I think we've had enough stories to fill up a complete podcast.
I think you're right. That one was real easy to fill, guys, and we're not happy to say it.
That might have been the fastest hour of my life. Well, as always, you can check us out on workingmomswine.com. Look us up on TikTok, Instagram. The website has links to... I don't know if it has the link to TikTok. Maybe I should put that on there. But it does have the Patreon and Instagram and YouTube links. If you're on YouTube, like, subscribe, comment below what your best parenting horror story is.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll feature
Share
some
the
really
gory
good ones.
details.
Exactly.
We'll do a follow-up episode if there's any good ones.
Yeah, absolutely. We can have a competition where they like the comment and the top liked ones we'll share on the air.
Yes.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us, guys, and we will see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.